Hi, I'm Karen Holtzblatt, and I'm going to be talking to you right from the screen as part of your methods class. We're going to be talking about contextual design, and you're going to do a project using the techniques of contextual design. So I'm going to introduce over the course of about 5 lectures some of the key elements of contextual design. If you're wondering why I'm qualified to introduce contextual design, well, it's because I kind of developed it many years ago, and the methodology is used for defining products and systems by companies and in universities like yours all over the world. So I hope you will learn, and I expect you to go out and do CD, as we like to call it, in the world like everyone who has come before you, and that will be very cool, as it has already been very cool. Okay? So this lecture, I'm going to talk to you about what contextual design is as a big overview. And we're going to start because it's important to understand that contextual design is not fundamentally about usability testing or making things usable. It's about product definition. It's about figuring out what it is we need to make. So let's go back to an old product that back in the 60s, AT&T had an epiphany because they put 10 smart guys in a room and said, what would be cool? And they said, oh, we need a picture phone back in the 60s. And it was a dismal failure. Now, why was it a dismal failure? Well, if we had understood what was going on in the lives of people at that point in time, we would have understood that it was never going to be a success. Back in the 60s, what was going on was that people were now living their lives by dropping in and out of their friend's house without formal entertaining and hanging out with each other. And when they talked on the phone, they did exactly the same thing. They dropped into each other's lives. The most transformative element of telephone technology at that time wasn't anything with pixels and cool technology at all. It was actually the long cord. There were cords in those days. And that long cord allowed us to have the base of the phone on the wall and then this long cord like this, and we could run around in our house and we could talk to our friends and our family and fold laundry and yell at our children. Okay, so what did AT&T ship? AT&T shipped, you will stand in one place, you will move 1 inch to the left and 1 inch to the right, and you will be dressed. That's what they shipped. They shipped something that would not work for the lifestyle of the people that they were trying to sell to. So it was a dismal failure. How could it be anything else? If we want to understand what is necessary to make products that transform lives and make money, because that's what we're here for, we need to understand that when a product hits a person or a group or a team, they bring with the product's idea of life, the product's idea of the concept, the product's idea of how they are going to live their life and move through the world. They bring with that set of product assumptions, or we could call it the product work model. Now, the question on the table is what happens when the work model of the product hits the real life of the user, who has their own life structure and their own challenges and their own concepts and their own way of thinking? What's going to go on? Is that product going to enhance and delight and lift up the user? Or is that product going to crush, break, irritate, and otherwise annoy the user? Because that's the difference between product success and product failure. In the end, product design is about designing the optimal match between the model of work or life of the user and the model of work of the system. If we can get that match right, if we can stretch it with technology to make life even better, we got a winner. Now, the question, though, is how do we go from here to there? Clearly, we have to understand what's going on in the user's world if we're going to figure out the right thing to do with the technology we have at hand, so that we will know what makes sense and we won't go shipping the picture phone again. So how do you guarantee success? You know, these are the things that people tell you. Oh, go in a room, think up good stuff. You know, usability test till it pass, like a compiler. Put 10 smart guys in the room, or let's do 40 focus groups. The problem with all of these techniques is they are not built on a deep understanding of the user's practice, of their life. And so it's real easy to get it wrong. Real easy to get it wrong. Techniques are good for what they are good for. These techniques are not good for figuring out what to build and structuring it in such a way that it will be valued and transform the lives of people. So when we set out to develop contextual design, these are the steps of contextual design, we needed something that was going to take you from understanding the person in their world through ideation and all the way out to specific product designs, user interface, agile stories, or industrial designs. Because that is the process that can get a team from here to there. Many people say of contextual design that it's an incredible scaffolding, because so many of the teams that we've worked with over the years, they go, someone comes up to them and says, okay, it's time for you to write specs. Okay, what are you going to make? What are you going to make next? And they're sitting at their desk on Monday and going, I'm supposed to write specs. What am I doing? Whether that was developers 25 years ago, or UX people now, or UI people, or all the rest of the UI, UX, UD, this, that got developed over the last 25 years, that is meaningless. We can't just start writing specs. But if we give people a way to work together and to work together as a team, then they can know what to do. And what's nice about contextual design is if you use it as a structure, you can stick other kinds of methods inside of it and know how to go from here to there. So I'm going to do a quick introduction to all the steps of contextual design. The methods course will only be covering the first 4 steps of practice, but other courses will be able to cover the second half, but you should know what the whole structure is. The first and the most important step of contextual design we call contextual inquiry, and contextual inquiry is our field data gathering technique. We go out into the field and we talk with the people that are our target about what they do while they're doing it. So listen, we go out into the field, not into a conference room. We don't ask their managers. We don't look at statistics. We go out into the field and we talk. We don't observe. We don't videotape. We talk with them about what they're doing while they're doing it. If we go out into the field and we understand what's really going on, we will be able to get the low-level detail that you need to understand lives. Because people know everything about what they do. They just can't tell you. Because nobody is out there observing their life. Everybody is out there living their life. They just go from place to place. They do whatever it is they do. And if ever you doubted that, the next time you go to the grocery store, I want you to try to watch yourself picking out an item. And you'll find that you can't watch yourself while you're doing it. And if you try to watch yourself, you can't pick. And it's really quite a problem. So the only way that you're really going to figure out what's going on in people's lives is to be there. And then they can talk about it. So we'll talk later about how to do a field interview. But doing the field interview, it's a one-on-one, 2-hour experience generally. We now have to interpret that data. So within 24 to 48 hours, a small team will get together and they will interpret the data. The person who was in the field will tell the story blow by blow from their handwritten notes. I said this, I did this, I said this, I did this. They will not interpret, they will not summarize, they will not organize, and they will not do highlights. Because you are out in the field like Watson to Sherlock, yeah? You know Sherlock Holmes? He says, Watson, go do this, and Watson comes back and reports everything verbatim. That's who you are when you're out in the field. Because the team, which is the team that's going to create the product, we're taking an opportunity to immerse the team not only in the field, but again, in the interp session. It's another way to re-experience the field. And during the interpretation session, the team will capture key issues in the form of these virtual post-its. They will also model the work in a selection of work models that allows us to record all the detail of life. If when we came back in the interpretation session, all we were going to do is take the top 10 ideas, we might as well have not gone into the field. We're losing all the detail that at that level will make that product work or not work. Because when we're designing product, we have the big picture of what the product should be, and then the low-level details of how it fits explicitly into the lives of people. And if we don't have that low-level detail, we're going to blow it. We're going to blow it. We're going to mess up some piece. So now, we came back and we interpreted as a team. Now, the cool thing about interpreting as a team, and I'll teach you this when we talk about interpretation, is the way that interpreting makes you a team. The way that interpreting teaches you how to interview. That by simply dialoguing with the data, you are starting to know and embody an experience well beyond your own. And that's critical for design, because you don't want to be designing for the I. You know what design for the I is? You listen to your teams and they go like this. I like this. No, I don't like this. Oh, I like this. Oh, we should do this because I like it. Okay, that's design from the I. We don't want to be designing from the I. We want to be designing from a deep understanding of the user's world. Better for you to say, my data shows this. We can't do that. How are we going to account for this, which is in the data? Now you're embodying the whole of the market. The interpretation session is the way you start to broaden your understanding of the market without having to do every single interview. Yeah? And you expose the team members, even those who weren't in the field, to that same thing. All right, now let's pretend we did 15 field interviews. That means we've got about 1,000 Post-it notes, and we've got 15 flow models, all different kind of work models, and we can't see the market anymore. We can't see the market. It's all too individual. So the next step is data consolidation. Consolidated models are a communication device. Consolidated models roll the individual data from different points of view, because each model represents a different element of life, together so that we can see what's happening in the whole market. Your core model is the affinity diagram, which is those bunch of Post-its in the back, which is going to show you all the issues. Your sequence model, which is right there on the left, is going to show you the task analysis across the market of the key things you're trying to support. The other models will show you communication and coordination. They will show you the culture that we live in. They will show you the physical environment. They will show you the artifacts. And from deep contextual data, you can create personas that, in point of fact, characterize the practices of the market, not from the salespeople telling you who they are. So when you have this rich data, you can use it and reuse it over time, because it doesn't age very quickly. And now you have the opportunity for a new immersion experience. So we're going to learn about how to consolidate data. All right, now once we have this data, we can really immerse the team in the data, and we can start ideation. So the next and fourth step, and this is the last step we will be covering in the methods course, is called visioning. And in visioning, we print out all these data sets on the wall in a conference room. And the people that are going to invent what we should create for the future are going to do what we call walking the wall. And they're going to walk the wall and interact with that data in a structured fashion, and they're going to stick their design ideas right up on the data, so that the design ideas that matter will be, if you would, selected by the data itself, and new ideas will emerge. Now, after we have another immersion experience, again, for not everybody had to have been in the field. New people can come into this experience. Now we're re-immersed. We can identify the key issues we want the product to address from the people's lives. We can identify what things are technically possible and not possible. We can know the mission of the company, and then we will start storytelling in small groups. And that's what visioning is. Visioning is a storytelling process. It's the way that we say what the new world will look like if we deal with the issues in the data, if we use technology, if we transform the structure of their lives. And so we tell many stories. And they look like these stories with UI-ish looking things and people and manual things and automation. And we do them in rapid succession. And then when we're done, we do what we call pluses and minuses. Pluses and minuses let us say what works and doesn't work about each story. We then keep the good stuff. We get rid of the stuff we're scared of. We fix the things we can fix. And we end up with a high-level concept of what we want to go forward with. So if you do your jobs, you'll end up with a high-level concept of the topic that you're going to use. All right, now, but your high-level topic is like this. Go west, young son. Try to make it from Boston to California. It's not detailed. We have an idea of what we think will matter based on the customer data, but we aren't ready to code yet, or even UI mockup, or any of the rest of those things, because we haven't worked out the real practice. What's it going to look like if we put new technology in place? What's it going to look like if we're dealing with the newest platform that's now out in the world? We have to think it through. So the second half of contextual design is detailed design. How do I take that high-level concept and bring it all the way down? So the first thing we do is we're guided by our sequence models to storyboard the key scenarios of future use based on the vision. And we work that out. That's the new human technical system. That is the new practice with manual things and relationships that are just real and everyday, as well as how the technology will fit in there. And we will do multiple storyboards. But hidden away in those storyboards is the implication for what the system should be. So the team will then walk the storyboard and abstract out the system structure. Up here, on the top, is what we call the user environment design. The user environment design is every place or focus area that will be in the system. Behind every box is the list of functions that will be supported in that place. Each place that is going to be interacted with the user will also have a layout. And so what you see down here is the interaction design pattern. And if it is a web page, or it's a phone, or it's some new future technology, you will start to say where these functions will be in the user interface. If we're talking about generating industrial design or cars or other things, these pieces will change. But if we're talking about software, this is what you would do. All right, so now we have an operating theory. We say, if this vision was manifest this way, and it therefore has this structure with this UI, will it transform lives? Will anybody like it? And so now we're ready to get back out into the field. And so we mock it up in paper. We use those interaction patterns, and whether we're doing mobile devices or whether we're doing web-based things or whether we're doing the internals of a car or whether we're doing a TV, we mock the whole thing up. And we go back out into the field in 2-on-1 field interviews, and we have people live their real lives inside the mock-up. We do not have pre-planned scenarios. We do not have tests like in the usability lab. We say, all right, if this, for example, is something about shopping, what are you buying this week? What did you just buy? And now they're going to replay their lives, their real lives, with their real data, with their real context, inside the mock-up. And when they get to that place and they go, well, where do I schedule what I want to happen for my online shopping? And we failed to think of that. We grab a new Post-it, we put a schedule thing on, we slap it on the mock-up, and we say, there it is, and we keep going. Paper is your best way of getting the lower level requirements and inviting the user into the design conversation. This is what makes it user-centered. We change it as they go. If we offer them a set of tabs and they say, I hate tabs, we just rip them apart and now we don't have tabs anymore. If we merge things together that shouldn't be together or use the wrong words, we change them. We come back, we interpret that, and we make a new mock-up. We know if we do that 3 times, we will know if the product is interesting. We will have the interaction design patterns we need. We will know that it is usable, and we're ready to move on. Sometimes we'll put it online, and we'll do a remote pattern in the 3rd round, sometimes with a visual design. But the point is, the beginning rounds, you want a lot of dialogue with the user. Remember, having it look unfinished and crummy is what invites the user into the conversation. Having it beautiful, they'll go, I don't want to disappoint these nice young people, and they will not give you feedback. Everything in contextual design is thought out in terms of the interpersonal dynamics between the team and between the person and the user, and that's why it works. And then we're ready. Now we're ready to put a real visual design on and test it, to do user stories if we did a quick pass-through for Agile, and to move into agile iterations. In an agile iteration, you only need 2 rounds of mock-ups, and then you'll do the rest of your iterations inside of the agile process. So that is your little, quick tour of contextual design. We'll be doing the first part, as I said, and you keep this in mind when you listen to the other aspects of the how to build user interfaces from your teachers. Thanks. That one's done.